The road to the Final Four is presented by Nissan, an official partner of March Madness. And talk about madness, we've got 3 teams playing in their first ever Final Four. And we haven't seen that in a long time. The last time there were 3 first-timers in the Final Four was in 1970. The road to the Final Four takes us to Houston. Giddy up. UConn, Miami, San Diego State, and 9-seed Florida Atlantic. Aztecs and Owls, the best from the Mountain West against the best from Conference USA in the first national semifinal. UConn and Miami in the second national semifinal. The Huskies, the only team that's won a title in this group, chasing their 5th in school history. Final Four tips off next Saturday in Houston. So UConn has dominated its road to the Final Four, Tim. Danny Hurley and the Huskies winning all 4 of their tournament games by 15-plus points. As a former player, what are you seeing from this team right now?
It just looks like they're clicking on all cylinders, whether it's strength on the inside, burying shots from deep. You see the success that they've had when they've gotten to Final Fours, whether it's Jim Calhoun, and that was Kevin Ollie very early in the Kevin Ollie era. Dan Hurley was coaching high school basketball in 2010 at St. Benedict's High School. What a story this has been, restoring UConn back to national prominence. You can go down the list. Sonogo has been better and better each and every game. His passing against Gonzaga is second to none. When Hawkins is making shots, it's a totally different dynamic for this squad. Clinging off the bench is a dynamic that no one has in college basketball. 7'2", length and athleticism. And then Jackson is like one of the most unique glue players in all of college hoops, where he could do a little bit of everything. If you're going to beat UConn, you're going to have to score. And that is the one intriguing thing about Miami. They proved against Texas, no deficit is too great. But right now, UConn is favorite, and rightfully so, because when I look at this squad, I see one thing: no weakness. And they're playing with a lot of confidence and a lot of swag. Huskies are back.
Yeah, they're playing like they played to start the season. Started the season 14-0. Then they lost 6 of 8. Danny Hurley says, hey, we got to get it together here. We got to get back on track. We're a really good team. And since then, they have gone 13-2. They outscored their opponents in the tournament run by a combined 90 points, Tim. Okay, 90 points. So UConn plays Miami. Jim Larinaga using the transfer portal, using NIL. He's got these great guards, right? He's got ACC Player of the Year Isaiah Wong, Nigel Pack, the kid from Kansas State, Jordan Miller, who was awesome against Texas. 27 points, perfect from the floor, perfect from the free throw line. And guards win in March. This is going to be a tough matchup for the UConn Huskies.
No doubt about it. I mean, let's look at Miami's road. They played Houston, who a lot of people were saying was the best team in college basketball. A defense for the generations. And you know what they did? They almost put up 100 against them. Shot over 50%, 40% from 3, and they ran Houston off the floor. Now, next game, they go up against Texas, and they're down 13 with 13 minutes left, and they just never seemed flustered. This was a game that they went, forget about the 3-point shot. They only made 2 of those. How did they win? Well, they picked apart Texas's weakness. They had no rim protector, and they said, we're going to get as close to the rim as possible. They shot almost 70% from 2-point range against the Longhorns. See, they're explosive. That's what makes them so dangerous, is they have that spurt ability, and no lead is safe against them. Their resume, if you go over who they've beaten, has been probably as good as anybody in the tournament, who they've knocked off and how they have done it.
Yep.
This is a team that they ain't scared. They're not scared of anybody. And this is a matchup, even though they're playing the hottest team in college basketball right now, they are not going to be intimidated.
Well, as a reminder, a lot of people picked them to lose to Drake in the first round. And it's okay for you to be transparent. Look, I said I wouldn't be surprised if Miami made a deep run. This is a really good team. They beat Drake. Then they beat Indiana. They beat them by 16 in the second round. And then they take care of the 1-seed Houston and knock off that dream story for the Cougars trying to get to their hometown and win a national championship. And then here they take down a 2-seed. So on their way here to the Final Four, they take down a 1 and a 2, a very good Indiana team, and a team that a lot of people thought, you know, that Drake could pull off an upset. So that happens for Miami. They go through the bracket. Here they are in the Final Four against UConn. That's going to be Saturday night. That matchup is going to be awesome. That game's on CBS. This is going to be incredible. Also, this game is going to be wild, too. This is why we love March Madness, because of the Cinderellas. In the first national semifinal, it's 9-seed Florida Atlantic against 5-seed San Diego State. FAU won 35 games. best team in Conference USA. On Selection Sunday, we talked about Dusty May's squad being seated too low. Like maybe they could have been a 5 or a 6. Before this year, they hadn't won a game in the NCAA tournament. They've won 4 in a row. Tim, what do you make of the Owls' run to the Final Four led by Dusty May?
Well, I think it just proves that we want to see more mid-major stories. You see these 9 seeds, what are all these schools? Mid-majors. And I think that the NCAA tournament needs more Loyola Chicago's, needs more FAU, needs more North Texas. They need more mid-majors, and I think mid-majors are going to play even more of a role in the tournament for the future, because if they're able to get an experienced group, a group that has chemistry, a group that understands each other, knows their roles, with the transfer portal and the NIL and guys jumping from school to school, that if you have that continuity, if you have that culture and you got everyone buying in and playing on the same page, you have a very dangerous squad. The thing that impressed me most about FAU is they're like this. How do you want to play? Oh, you want to play slow, Tennessee? We can play that way. Oh, you have Marquise Noel. You want to go up and down? We can play that way too. And that is what makes them so dangerous, because they're going to go up against San Diego State, and every bucket is going to be an absolute premium. That does not intimidate FAU at all. Actually, they have a team in their conference, North Texas, with Grant McCaslin, that plays a very similar style, that plays a very similar way. And go back and check out those scores. I mean, it was life and death to get the 60 points in this game. So you have 2 teams that understand who they are, have an identity. FAU's been an amazing story. What I love about this matchup is both of these teams have been knocked down, and they just keep finding ways to come after you. This is Spider-Man GIF. These teams are very similar in style and their experience. This is going to be a fantastic game. Is it going to be a game played in the 90s? I'll tell you this right now. It's not, but it's going to be a highly contested, closely contested game.
Well, like Miami, San Diego State knocked out the 1 seed in their region. San Diego State playing in the Final Four for the first time in school history. Brian Dutcher's team wins with defense, 22-0, when allowing 65 points or fewer this season, including the win over number 1 overall seed Alabama. Tim, you've been around this team. What makes this San Diego State team so special?
Yeah, they are just so tough. And that toughness comes from experience. 3 50-year guys, a 60-year guy. They have a guy who just shows up for practice. He's a mechanic. I'm not even sure he's on the team, but he's just been around the squad forever. My point is these guys are JYD, junkyard dogs, and that is no disrespect. That is a compliment. They got blitzed by Creighton in the first half, and they came out in that second half, and they flipped the switch. Let's not forget, San Diego State bullied the top team in this tournament, Alabama, the most talented team in college basketball. San Diego State sent them home and sent them home weeping because they have a style of play. I got a chance to call a couple of games for them this year, San Diego State. And one game sticks out to me in particular. They played Fresno. Now, you're going to say, well, why does that game matter? They beat Fresno 47-45. And that's the way they win. It's never going to be like 92-74. They don't play that way. This game is going to be an absolute dogfight, and that's their style. So they're never going to blow anybody out. They're never going to wow anybody on the offensive end. This was a team in San Diego State that a couple of years ago we didn't get to see their best squad ever. It would have been number 1 seed. They had Malachi Flynn. But Brian Dutcher's group, they are deep. They can go to their bench, and there is really no drop-off from their starting 5. They are so deep, Akeem, that down the stretch against Creighton, Matt Bradley has scored over 2,000 points in his career. Wasn't on the court. And that's how much faith Brian Dutcher has in his squad. He goes, you want to know something? You're not performing at a high level? I can go to somebody else.
Jaden Ledee.
That is big-time trust. Their last 6 baskets for San Diego State against Creighton, 5 different guys scored. So everybody was sharing the pill. So these 2 teams mirror each other. It's not going to be aesthetically pleasing as far as high scoring, but if you like to get into the weeds with defense, if you like to get into the weeds with team basketball, this is going to be an outstanding matchup.
Well, look, we had a blue blood Final Four last year in New Orleans. We've got a mishmash that I'm just as excited for, to see what happens, because we're going to have a coach win a national championship for the first time ever. And we might have a school, we might have UConn win its 5th. They're the favorites. This is FAU, San Diego State, Miami, and UConn. Look, the big brands aren't here, but this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun, Tim. And the Final Four tips off next Saturday in Houston on CBS, and we will be there to break it down. We'll be on the ground beginning Thursday. Can't wait for it in Houston. Giddy up.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.